Hey guys, welcome to the E-commerce Paradise podcast. Today I have a special guest on the show. One of my students, in fact. I'm really excited to talk to him. His name is Nate, and he's an entrepreneur. So happy to have him on the show. He's been having some great successes and get to talk about all that today. Welcome to the show, Nate.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm excited.
All right. That's awesome, dude. When I first got you on board, I know you were just starting, and lately you've been having some huge numbers and some great successes. So that's so awesome. But before we get into that, can we get a little bit of your backstory? Maybe let the audience know like what kind of background you have, where you came from and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I come from the corporate world, but previous to that, I was a musician, professional musician for like 15 years. And then I started doing that on the side while I was doing the corporate gig. And I was in like B2B sales for, like 13 years. I started off selling like technology products, basically door to door just to businesses. And then I moved into medical sales. I sold vaccines of all things for the past 7 years. And I got laid off in August of 2017. And during that, like the last few years of working at the pharmaceutical company, I started like dabbling in internet marketing, and I tried to start my partner and I tried to start a digital marketing agency, which had like a lot of ups and downs. So some months we'd make money, some months we'd lose money. And then it was just a lot of volatility. And when I lost my job, I was like, I'm going to do this thing full time. I looked at it as my opportunity. I'm like, okay, I got fired. I'm going to just do this full time and do my best on the agency side of things. And like those 7 months were like awful. We did so bad. We didn't do well at all. And after that 7-month period, I went back to work full time. And my buddy, he's a digital marketer, and he came back from some mastermind, and they were talking about doing a high ticket drop shipping store. I'm like, okay, cool. Screw agency work. I'm going to do that. I'm going to work on my full-time job and do this full time on the side. And that's how I kind of started doing the ecom thing.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's funny how like sometimes when you hear things from friends, it's so much more powerful than if you were to like read about it or see it somewhere else. Like somebody you know and trust, like tells you about something. It's like, oh man, that's powerful. It really is meaningful then, right? And then you actually
absolutely
do more about
it. And we wanted to do like get into Amazon FBA like a couple years ago, but it was so expensive to like the startup cost for that was really expensive, and then like having to develop your own brand seemed like a huge hurdle to overcome. And then we kind of just like tabled that while we were doing like pay-per call and agency, like lead generation for local businesses.
That's interesting. Yeah. So the agency model is really interesting. And yeah, I can see how like it can be very time consuming. I mean, I'm kind of doing a little bit of an agency style thing right now with E-commerce Paradise. And I'm starting to get to realize how time intensive, how customer service intensive it is. And while it's a great way to make money, yeah, definitely like it's hard because you have to constantly be marketing yourself. You have to constantly be providing the services, which is very time consuming. So
and get the results.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because that's what you're selling at the end of the day. You're selling those results,
Exactly. Yeah.
So I like the online course method. I moved on to that, of course, because I realized that I can ultimately duplicate myself, clone myself online, and help people and charge a lot less money than I would have to normally if I were to do it in person. And it's been working really well. And I think that's the same thing that these brands do with their products. And they realize like it would be really difficult if like I created like let's say some kind of a brand for couches or something like that, and I were to try to get those couches into like every single furniture store across the US. I mean, it just sounds ridiculously difficult. But if I have a brand of couches and I actually reach out to online retailers, internet people that know how to run internet businesses, and say, hey, would you be willing to put this on your website and sell it for me? Then that would take the entire process of selling out of my hands and do it for me. And you know what I mean? So like it makes sense for these brands to do that.
It's true. And plus, you and I, like, if we did develop our own brand, the way that we run ads, the way that you teach it, it wouldn't work because nobody's looking for your couch. They're looking for ones that already have kind of a brand name. Or
that's one of the biggest hurdles of getting started. Any brand is trying to get your brand recognized, like trying to get word of mouth, trying to get press coverage and stuff like that, trying to get it out there and get it recognized. I mean, yeah, I can see like Amazon FBA, for instance, what is that, like a $2,000-$3,000 usually like minimum investment depending on the product you have and the amount of branding you want to do, the packaging and all that stuff, and the how much you spend for sales copy or whatever, to get started. I think when I was first looking at it, I was thinking, that might be a good way to scale. But then, looking at doing Amazon FBA for like a high ticket product,
Yeah,
Also see
how would you buy more than like
crazy.
2 at a time?
Exactly. Like even if it's a $500 product, if you have to buy 10 or 20 or 30 at a time, you're looking at,
Yeah.
$10,000 or more. And I actually tried to get into retail business, doing a retail storefront back in 2014 with my first big online venture, which was selling bicycles online. And that was just like a terrible idea, man. Like I had no idea how much effort it was going to take to do a bike shop, and it just ended up being a
Oh my gosh.
disaster. But
That was a physical location, like a brick and mortar?
like a brick and mortar, like
Oh,
actual
wow.
bike shop.
That's ballsy, dude. You tried it, though. That's
Yeah,
good.
man.
Well, I'm sure you
I
learned what
realize
not to do.
some of these industries out there, it's funny, but like a lot of the industries, they have a very tight knit, like supplier to dealer base, and bicycles, for instance, they're very mechanical based products. So they want to make sure that there's a service base out there. People can service their brands. So I found it really difficult to scale past like the first, 10, 20 brands I got at the time, because, you go to these industry trade shows and there's like hundreds of brands, but they all sell to shops or they're Chinese. It's like, all right, well, where are the brands that are in between? And that was back when it was just starting to like, e-commerce was just starting to really evolve, and like Shopify was just starting to get big and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then I realized that, but I mean, yeah, I guess it's the same for a lot of industries too, like, it's easier though, doing the e-commerce stuff. You can operate it from home. Right?
Yeah, from my car.
Yeah. You were talking about that before. You do a lot of driving every day, right? Like,
I do, yeah. So I'm in sales. Actually, my full-time job, I sell grease collection services. So used cooking oil. I go to restaurants every day, like 10 to 15 restaurants. I knock on doors and I ask them if I can collect their grease for free in exchange for free service.
That's very interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of that before. That's cool.
Yeah, it's like that. It's the dirty little waste management business that nobody wants to hear about or talk about.
It must be lucrative though if you're doing it and full time.
It's pretty good, yeah. So I do well with it. It pays, like you said. Your podcast was really important in our development, actually, because you were the only guy that I heard like, okay, if you have a full-time job, keep it.
Yeah,
because exactly. for high-ticket drop shipping, you need some sort of money coming in so you can support and pay for your cost of goods and all those kind of things. Make sure your Shopify store can remain active.
And you're just peace of mind in general with like, cause like sales can go like this, some days are really good. Some days are like dead. It's like dead for a week and you're just like, oh God, what's going on? You're just freaking out, going into your ads and stuff.
I know. I recently did that. I'm like, it seems like the first week of every month is a little bit slow for us. Like it was the first 2 months and it has proven to be that way this month too, but I'm confident it's going to pick back up.
Yeah, it's interesting when you are in the scaling phase, going from like 10K a month, 20K, 30K, and you're trying to get up there because what it really is just it's a constant cycle of reinvestment. It's like you take profits and then you go and you buy more product descriptions, or you make videos, and a lot of it you can do yourself, but then a lot of it you want to outsource because other people can do it better than you can, obviously. Absolutely. I suck at Photoshop. I suck at video. Like I'm pretty good at copy, but I hate writing it. Like unless I'm really passionate about the product. And with dropshipping, of course, I'm not passionate about these products. Somebody else can figure out how to write that sales copy and do it. So I outsource that. It makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We wrote all of our ad copy, not our product descriptions ourselves.
Nice. Awesome.
At least to start. So hopefully we only have 5 brands on there and 2 of them that are selling. So like, it wasn't a lot. It wasn't a crazy amount of work. It wasn't like trying to put up 20 different brands, products, which would take forever.
Yeah, I think niche selection is definitely important. If you're dealing with an industry like furniture, for instance, some of these brands, man, they have tons of products, like hundreds and hundreds of products and SKUs, and it's just insane. Like I end up giving my VA the freaking job to do, and I'm like, oh God, this is going to cost me, $150, $200 just to add products to my site, and that's just copying the content.
Worth it, though. That's not that much in the grand scheme of things. How much time would it take you to do that?
Exactly. Or hire somebody who's actually like works in the US or something like that, and whatever, these people are in India, which is awesome because like, I'm sure to them that's good enough money to live on. And to me, like, the services are amazing. Although I still have to go in there and like work on things and figure it out and make sure the tags are right and the types are good and stuff like that. It's kind of a pain in the butt.
The challenge with that is being able to, like, this being our first store, is trusting somebody else to do it as good as you'd want it to be done. You know what I mean? And then I feel like I would just be double and triple checking it anyway. So I might as well just do it myself, at least for now.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like, you can even go to your suppliers and be like, hey man, can you just tell me what the best sellers are, or at least the best selling categories, so I have an idea, and then just start adding those products yourself. I totally did that in the very beginning when I was doing my website. I just did it all myself. It took forever.
Yeah.
My wife would tell you, I was up like all night for like, I don't know, weeks, months at a time back in like 2011, 12. Cause I was just like, I want to get out of this day job as hard as I could. I was working in LA where it's nice and sunny and warm all summer long. I love skateboarding. So I wanted to get out and skate with my friends. It's like noon on a summer day. It's hot. And I'm sitting in an office, like answering calls to locksmiths who want to get a lock because, their customer's freaking out. And I have to now freak out and go to the warehouse and find a solution. It's just stress, and it's somebody else's stress, which, it's somebody else's money, really, and somebody else's profits I'm worrying about.
Yeah.
I worry about my own profits if I'm going to deal with this stress,
That's true. I'm putting out grease fires all the time out here.
Those are hard fires to put out, man.
Not real fires, but people complaining. Like, hey, you didn't pick up our grease. I'm like, okay.
Hopefully the fires aren't as bad as actual grease fires.
Yeah, they're not as bad. I only got yelled at once.
It's kind of a cool thing though, recycling it, right? What do they do with it after that? I'm kind of curious.
So they turn it into different ingredients. So, well, there's a couple different parts to the business. There's the fat and bone industry, and they grind that up and they use it in like in dog food and different kind of things like that. And then there's the other side of the business where we turn it into like perfumes and lotions and hand sanitizer, the stuff in hand sanitizer.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then also biofuels.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
That's the big one. That's kind of like what we're stockpiling it for now.
Yeah, so it's funny because like my case study cites fireplaces. I'm realizing that ethanol fireplaces are pretty popular. I'm assuming ethanol is corn based though, right? Isn't that?
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a different type of fuel, but maybe so grease fuel, does that go into like certain types of cars or something like that, or what kind of engines?
They call it biodiesel. As much as I love selling grease, I don't really know much about what happens to it after. To be honest with you, when I took this job, I'm like, okay, it pays enough. I have 3 kids and a wife.
Oh wow,
and a house, mortgage, and all that stuff.
Man.
Yeah. So and
How
it's expensive. I have my eldest I have 2 girls and a boy, and Lily is my oldest. She's going to be 10 in November. Levi is 6. He's in the middle. And Lila, the baby, she's going to be 3 in a couple days.
Wow. You got a lot to manage.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's a lot.
Well, I got a taste of like during that 7 months. Another thing I learned is that like everyone dreams, or at least in the entrepreneurial world, you want to work from home, right? Or, have that freedom to work from home. And what I learned is with 3 children, it's impossible. It's really difficult. And that was one of the hardest things to do, is to have, my wife's there, my 3 kids are there coming into the office all the time. And it was really difficult to be on like a sales call with a dentist, a guy who owns a dental practice, and then talk to them about their marketing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Kids are screaming, whatever.
Exactly.
I can kind of relate to that because I actually had 3 cats at one point, which kind of felt like little kids.
It is. Well, we got 2 dogs and a cat as well.
So there you go. They always like to like jump on me when I'm trying to work and stuff. And it's like, how am I supposed to do any work here? And these cats are just like, pet me. Don't look at this computer screen. Pet me.
Exactly, dude. And you work fast, dude, by the way, when you're saying that. I like watching your videos. You go so fast. I love it because like, I'm like, okay, this gives me hope. One day I'll be able to do this where I don't have to watch every second of the video over and over again to make sure I'm doing it right.
Yeah, exactly. No, when I work as fast as possible just because like it drives me nuts, man. Like this stuff is so binary, it's like you're staring into this 2D screen that looks kind of 3D, and then you have to add things here, do things there. And then you're depending on your internet connection to go fast and your computer to not be slow, and like whenever I get into a coffee shop, like I always go to coffee shops because of the same issue. Something at home is distracting, and you just can't it's a coffee shop. It's got to be. And so like lately, what I've been doing is instead of using the Starbucks internet connection, because sometimes it just sucks, right? I bought the extra 3G personal hotspot package for my phone, and I don't even, and it's unlimited now, so I don't even mess with Starbucks Wi-Fi. I just plug into that.
That's awesome. I mean, that's how I work on the road. So like I drive about 250 miles a day. And our first sale came in while I was on the side of the Pennsylvania Turnpike with trucks whizzing by at like 70 miles an hour. And I'm like, oh.
That's dangerous.
Exactly. It was dangerous. I was scared out of my mind. Yeah. And we got 2 orders that day, one on the way there and then one on the way back. I had to pull into some it was like some business's parking lot that was clearly closed. And I'm like out in the middle of the country typing stuff out in my Shopify store.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. I mean, hey, you got to do what you got to do. I remember I was doing a similar thing. It's so funny. Like, when you first get started, it's just so exciting, like when an order comes in or when a customer call comes in, when an email comes in, it's just like one of the coolest moments in life. Like, this is my money. This is my business, my customer. Like, it's not,
you know what the funniest thing was? Like everyone waits for that first cha-ching that Shopify gives you when you get that first sale, or when you get any sale. If you have your sound on your phone, it goes cha-ching. Our first sale, I was on the phone with the guy with my hand, and as I hit enter to do the sale, it was like I got 2 emails, ding ding, and then it was like a cha-ching. I was so embarrassed. I wanted to cheer out loud, but I was just like, okay, I'll start screaming when I hang up with this guy.
One of those epic moments that you just kind of gotta hush hush.
Yeah, I had to mute it for a minute.
Delayed gratification.
Yeah, like, hey, thank you for being my first sale.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
I've never done this before.
Well, it's funny. I mean, it makes you kind of wonder, like, how many people, when they place orders online on a small website, do they really realize like what's going on when they place that order? Like, what kind of an effect they're having?
They have no clue. I'm happy to talk to them though, because I'll explain to them what's happening.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about people, I think, these days, is they're coming to understand e-commerce. Like, they realize that like online business is trustworthy, and if you have as long as the website has trust seals on it, has social proof, they look professional, they got good things going on, they have a phone number, email address, all these things that we talk about, like to actually get on your website. Like, these are the things customers are looking for to make sure you're trustworthy enough to buy from, and if you are, then great. And Shopify is really cool because Shopify has a 3-step checkout process, and it's kind of like Amazon. Like, when you go to check out on Amazon, it's like a squeeze page. There's no more menu or nothing. So it's really fast and easy. When I first made the switch to Shopify from WooCommerce, I was really, really happy about that, because WordPress and WooCommerce is okay. Like, it's all right, but it doesn't have like a separate squeeze page style checkout. And I like it a lot.
I like Shopify. It's really easy to use. Learning the coding from your training was really helpful, which is awesome. Yeah,
man. Coding can be one of those weird things. And you're just like, what is?
Well, I guess I wasn't really learning so much as like copy and pasting. Yeah. I have no idea what it is.
I realized that. Like, when I first started, I hated code. I had no idea what that stuff was. And like, the only way to figure things out was just to like dive in and break things. Honestly, like, I still do it all the time. I'm like, all right, like, I'm going to take 20 minutes and I'm just going to put this code between like all these different things and just figure out which one works. It's going to look like crap for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, we did a lot of that. Moving it around. I'm like, this doesn't look right.
I do it on other student stores when they like pay me to do the services and stuff for them. I'll go in there and be like, all right, like, just be patient for the next 20 minutes. Your site's going to look really weird, and don't worry about it.
Just come together like a puzzle. Yeah. It really does though in the end, if you stick it through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's another thing. Like, it's funny about building your business is that, in my opinion, like the little tiny things, like little website tweaks, they don't really, make the biggest difference in your business. I think the biggest difference is just like sticking to like the core principles of like getting more suppliers, adding more products, like getting your ads optimized, and then, doing really good sales and customer service.
Customer service has been huge for us.
That's awesome.
It's a big part of it. we get that all the time, as people saying, thank you so much for your customer service, which sounds corny, but like it feels good when somebody appreciates the fact that you went the extra mile.
Exactly, man. 100%.
Yeah.
It's so great. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like, having a raving customer is basically the lifeblood of your business. Like, you want to turn, like, the ideal thing is to get somebody as a lead, convert them to a customer, and then turn them into a raving fan. But I think a lot of businesses skip that step, or they just miss it altogether. Like the turning of a customer from to a raving fan. It's like,
right.
that's when things multiply. That's when you get a better return on all your investments, is because people are just going to refer you word of mouth to their friends, and that's free marketing.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Or if you happen to have a customer that has a website and they actually make a blog post or make a video about you, that's even more ideal, of course.
That would be badass. I should ask everyone, hey, by the way, thank you for your order. Do you have a blog by chance?
It doesn't hurt, right? And in fact, like you can even do, affiliate programs for your e-commerce store and promote it that way too. But honestly, I don't even really think affiliate programs work that great unless you're a really big store. I think what's better is a referral program where you get some sort of like a discount or even just like I don't know, what would you do? You could do a free gift or something like that. Like refer a customer and get $20 off your next order, that kind of thing. You see big websites, cool. Airbnb, they do that kind of thing. Like a lot of, I know about it now because I'm doing a lot of affiliate marketing now with E-commerce Paradise. So if some service provider or whatever doesn't have an affiliate program, I always look for that referral program instead. And sometimes,
I think we'll get into that later on in our journey. Right now, that's just, I think about that. I'm like, okay, then now I got to deal with somebody who's expecting me to pay them.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Managing that process feels like a nightmare, at least for now.
you can totally build it into your Klaviyo email campaigns, and that's what.
Oh, really?
I'm going to be building out the course and showing you guys how to do that. Yeah. It's cool because after somebody places an order, you can then decide like, okay, I'm going to email them like 30 days later, 60 days later, or you can choose depending on whether they left a positive review, or you can choose whatever on all these different things that trigger it. And then in Klaviyo, you can say, hey, did you know that we have a referral program or whatever, or just say, hey, refer us to your friends and, share us.
That's true. Yeah. Just ask. A closed mouth doesn't get fed.
Exactly. I was going to say a squeaky wheel gets the grease, but that doesn't really apply. But with what you're doing, it's kind of funny. So.
Yeah, exactly. Your squeaky wheel does get the grease.
Anyway, man. Yes, and it's so exciting. Like scaling a store, I think, is one of the coolest things in life. As an entrepreneur, what are the kind of things that you're working on right now to take it to the next level?
So what we need to be doing, which I haven't started yet, but is to get more brands, get more approvals from suppliers, and ones that have decent terms. Because like what happened was a couple of the new suppliers that we signed on with, they have like this tiered level pricing where they have a minimum buy-in. So like you have to spend $1,000 for your first order up front, even if it's like a $200 item. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I don't even know how I would manage that. We'd be able to do it, but it didn't make sense to me. It didn't pass the gut test for me.
Yep, that happens sometimes. You can't avoid it, and you just got to move on past them. And it happens a lot more in smaller industries. I find, like they're really looking to build out their service, base and stuff like that. I tried to do stand-up paddle boards on the store a couple of years ago. And I found that with a lot of the suppliers, either they required the investment, like they really wanted to work with like paddleboard rental shops. That was kind of their target, was like, hey, let's get into these shops, they can buy 10, 15 boards. Right. That was their biggest target. Or, they wanted to just make sales direct to consumers themselves because the margins were so thin and the freight costs a lot on that product. It's a big product. So being an online retailer in that space is very difficult. And then I found also a lot of the brands were actually starting to, like I said, just go direct themselves. They were cutting out their entire dealer base, online sales only, and just going direct. And that was the same kind of a thing in the bicycle industry. I found a lot of the smaller brands actually ended up just going direct themselves. It just depends, because like some of them will want to hire an in-house sales team, in-house marketing, in-house e-commerce team. And some will realize the benefit of outsourcing that to entrepreneurs like you and I. So,
right, that's true. Well, another way that we're trying to scale or starting to is going through. We do some Facebook retargeting, the way that you taught it in your course, and I'm gonna start going through the dynamic retargeting as well. So we haven't tested any of that out yet. One thing that we have been testing out is Pinterest, and we're just going blind. We have no idea what we're doing, but we're getting a ton of traffic, and it's super cheap. We haven't made any conversions yet from Pinterest, but I know we're at least able to like retarget them on the back end after they visit us. So it's just more traffic, and it's not as targeted as what you can do on PLA ads yet.
Yeah, because of course they're not in the bottom of the sales funnel yet. They're probably somewhere in the
they're kind of like planning and
so you can retarget them for 30 days until hopefully by then they're interested. You can hopefully capture their email address, and then you're in the top of the shopping ads. So when they get down to that part of the sales funnel where they're interested in that brand or that product that you sell, you're going to pop up first, and they're going to remember you.
Yeah,
and they're probably going to buy from you.
Yeah, I hope so.
So many great
Yeah,
ways.
so just adding more products and investing more in our advertising and remarketing.
So what's your plan lifestyle wise for the next maybe year, 2 years, 3 years? I mean, you said you had a family. Like you said, it's good to have a full-time job while you're building this business. Maybe is there a point of the business that you think you'd get to where you would be willing to quit your job and actually run the business full time?
Yeah, I mean, profit wise, I'm making now as much as I make at my job, a little bit more actually. So my goal would be, I turned 40 on December 6th. I would love nothing more than to quit my job by the time I turn 40 years old.
Yes.
And just say, you know what, screw you, I'm out of here. No more grease for me.
That's right after the Black Friday holiday sales rush. So.
Oh yeah, I'll be super cocky. I'm like, I'm out of here, dude.
I just made 100K this month. I'm out. Peace.
Exactly.
Throw them $100.
Lifestyle wise, like I want to do this full time, and I really want to. I want to have multiple stores. I don't want to grow too fast. Also, so like I want to put the work into this one and make it really profitable, and then branch off and do something else, or build another store.
That's awesome. I think that's a great decision because the more I realize at how deep you can go in this kind of stuff in any one niche, I realize that it's better to go deep than it is to go wide, because you can really start solidifying your place in the market by going deep. You can go deep by adding more content, like you said, doing other sales channels like Pinterest, getting more suppliers, trying to get exclusive rights to certain suppliers, maybe even product lines, even collaborating with suppliers on special types of product lines. There's all sorts of things that you can do to build your business deep in a niche. And, starting a second store, I always tell everybody, like, it's a pain in the ass, man. Like there's a lot to manage in this one business. There's going to be twice that. Every account is twice that. And it's just insane. Like it really is insane. And we
have another store waiting for us. My buddy, the dude that went away, the marketing guy who went away and came back and told us about Shopify stores. He started a store and never officially launched it, and he's doing something else now. So he just gave it to me. So it's just sitting there. I'm paying $30 a month on it for Shopify, and then eventually we're going to start building it out.
You can pause a store on Shopify. You'll save $15 a month, but if you go to settings accounts, and you go down the bottom, you have a choice to pause it. I just found this out the other day, by the way. And it's only $15 a month then.
Okay. Yeah.
You get the store, it's still live, and it can even be on the domain still. It's just that it won't have any checkout function. And they hit checkout, it just goes to like a blank screen. So that's it.
Okay.
I did that with all my demo sites. I have like 3 or 4 demo sites sitting around doing nothing with. So
just spending $15 a month. At least it's not the 30.
I'm like, whatever, like at least it's there, and I can probably use it for a YouTube video in the future or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, when we're doing lead generation, man, I built so many like WordPress sites. I mean, I get an email every day from Namecheap saying this thing's expiring, this domain's expiring. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot.
I got the same thing going on.
I'm like, what account is that? Ah, jeez.
Oh yeah. I bought way too many domains. I probably own like close to 40 or 50 domain names, just because like every niche is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this one, and I was like, nah.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
And I got like a bunch of different variations of my name, and like different variations of like these internet marketing ones and stuff like that. And it's like did nothing with any of them. I realized like if I just put all my content on one website, it's way more likely that website's gonna rank than if I put content on like 50,000 websites. I did watch a video by Pat Flynn about SEO one time and how he does backlinks and stuff like that. But I thought to myself, I was like, that's actually, I could take from that and do like a white hat version where you have like multiple websites that have unique content and they link back, and then you drive more backlinks to those websites and you have kind of a web of backlinks then. But it just feels kind of like shady going at it just to do that, because it's kind of like gray hat, black hat kind of stuff. And it works because that's how the search engine's algorithm works. But at the same time, I feel like things are changing, and for SEO, it's really good just to have like a really good content based website. Like you write your product descriptions yourself, that's the best thing you can possibly do. And then you have a channel like YouTube where you have, videos of your products up there, something like that. You have like FAQ videos, you make for your own business, like commonly asked questions from your customers, things like that. You can do that kind of stuff. And then having, if you have WordPress sites, you could do like an off-site blog. You can do like a separate blog related to that niche that's just a content website, and point it back to your dropship store. That's also a possibility too. And then that way, at least it's passive, because doing like a second dropship store, you just have to manage like a whole nother retail storefront. So like what I decided to do is actually build out one big store and then build out a business called Ecommerce Paradise around how to build that big store.
Yeah, genius,
and then so that's doing what I love. The store is doing something that I love to do. And then also everything else is based around affiliate marketing. So it's referral based. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to manage the customer service behind that. I don't have to manage all those processes. And what I was going to get to with building the second store, that the biggest thing is that if you don't have a team managing that first business for you, then and starting a second business can be just like basically like taking on a second job.
Well, that's exactly it. And that's what I worry about. So like being able to, work with people or find people that I can trust, and not that I have trust issues, but like knowing that the business is in good hands, so I can work on the business as opposed to like doing the daily grind. Because like, I take a lot of phone calls, even though we did outsource our ordering line. It's not really like a customer service line, but they take orders over the phone, and it's, they've been doing really well, and that's profitable too. So like we pay them a couple $100 a month and they bring in some sales.
Awesome. So nice. Which company did you outsource to for that?
It's called Specialty Answering Service.
Okay.
SAS.
Yeah, SAS. I've heard of them. I haven't used them myself.
They're really good. They're based, and you can customize all your scripts.
Okay.
All your call scripts. So I like called them yesterday and gave them some updates on what to do. Cause like, I didn't know, like they're just using their templated scripts. I didn't know what to expect. So I wanted to get a bunch of calls first and see what people are asking and, that kind of thing. And then I updated them on what I wanted them to say. And then they fixed it overnight, and
awesome.
It's working great.
That's great. So yeah, they take orders for you. And
yeah, cause I can't like, while I'm on, it's too risky for me with being on the road all day long.
Yeah.
To like, I could be with like a customer for my job, because I still have to do like a good job at I'm the reason why I have my job is because I close sales, so I can't like stop closing sales.
Exactly.
Not just yet.
Yeah. That's the whole point.
I did start untucking my shirt though. It's piecemeal. My first thing was like, okay, no more dress shirts. Now I'm wearing like these kind of things.
That's it, man. A little bit at a time, little tiny touches.
Yep. Next move is jeans. People are gonna start asking questions.
You got to have the entrepreneur outfit. It's a V-neck and shorts and flip-flops.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, that's the digital nomad outfit.
Yeah, that sounds right up my alley.
In reality, it's a tank top, but that's only if you're in Bali. So if you're in Thailand, you got to wear a V-neck. Yeah.
I go deep.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, life is good. I'm so excited that you're on this path, and you're basically on the path to like financial freedom, to location independence, to time freedom, to all these different things, and you're going to be able to live this awesome lifestyle, man. Like, and look how short a time it's happened. Like, you just started recently, and in the next 6 months, your goal is to get to that milestone where you quit that job and you can work from home, and
it's crazy. Like I was telling you before we started the podcast, is that I listen to a lot of podcasts while I'm on the road. I listen to a lot of Audible books about e-commerce or business, or like the Think and Grow Rich was my latest one. Actually, the Everything Store I just started yesterday.
That's a really
based on your recommendation.
Yeah.
It's really good, dude. Yeah.
Yes.
So I just fill my mind with positivity and good information, and just hope for the best. Just keep plugging away.
Yeah, you got the right mindset.
Yeah. So like, well, these podcasts have been huge for me. So your podcast, there's a bunch of other ones that I listen to as well. That you guys provide so much great information. It's been super helpful, and it keeps my mind focused on what I need to be doing.
Thanks, man. It's great to hear.
What I'm doing right there. Yeah, thank you.
That's what it's all about. It's just focusing. Truly, like, focus on one path until success.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I drove lead generation and pay-per-call marketing into the ground. It was like when you get burned out on something, you got to be able to just walk away. If I could give any advice to anybody who's considering starting a Shopify store, I would say if you're going to do it, you got to go all in. You have to be like, if you have other side businesses that are successful, focus on those and take them to a point where it's like semi-automated or automated, and then go 100% into a drop shipping store, because it's a lot of work.
Great advice. It is a lot of work, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, very time consuming.
It's very time consuming, but it's very, rewarding as well.
Yes.
Because when you do things right, you know, if you build a strong foundation, start from the bottom and build up, it's going to be good.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's exactly what I wanted to do with the Masterclass, because I had taken all these other courses building my store out. And I realized like they show you how to build kind of like an okay foundation. But then most of the really good knowledge I got for building a really good foundation came from my coaching with other people that were really successful. It came from masterminding within groups and stuff like that. And so I was like, well, why not just take everything I've learned from all these people and put it into one really good course, you know, call it a Masterclass, because that's exactly what it is, like from zero to launch to scaling. And you know, now it's there. And now I realize like there's so much more to do, and just, you know, it's an exciting process. It's cool because like I love doing this kind of work. It's fun, you know?
Well, that's what I love about your course. It is that zero to launch. Because like one of the things that I noticed in other courses that I had, and they're great courses as well, but I'm like, okay, how do I process an order when an order comes through?
Little tiny things like
where's the video on that?
Yeah.
Like, it sounds ridiculous, and maybe it's foolish that I didn't know, but like you explained it, so, and that's where I went to.
Yeah, just like a quick like walkthrough. Like, yeah, exactly. Like I mean, that's the thing though too, is going back to that very beginning standpoint of like not have been doing something. It was actually really difficult for me in the beginning making this course, because I was like, man, I've done all this stuff. My assumption is that somebody else is like going to be having an easy time figuring this out, and that's not the case. Like Shopify, for me in the beginning, I remember it was confusing just even learning like how collections worked, like, you know, how their whole system worked. It was just really weird, you know, tags, like types, what is all this stuff?
Right.
And yeah, I finally started just messing with it more and figured it out. And so now I realized like, okay, I got to go back to that mindset I was in when I first started messing with it. And like, now I realize, nothing is to be taken for granted here. Like everything is really weird and confusing. Just
yeah, exactly. You got to own it.
It's awesome, man. So it's so great what you've done, Nate. And, you know, thanks for sharing your story and your perspective and your wisdom getting this far in your journey. And, you know, I'm really excited to hear about where you go. We definitely should do like a follow-up in maybe 6 months or a year.
I'd be glad to, man. Hopefully I'll have a second store by then.
Yeah. And you know, you'll be doing it full time, and, you know.
Yeah. No more greasy shoes.
Yeah. There you go.
Flip-flops, t-shirts, and tank tops.
Yeah. I'll meet you on the beach in Bali.
Exactly. Yes. Hell yeah.
Sounds good.
Right,
Thanks so much for being on, and catch you in the next one.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.